Hello, I'm Emily Day, and today I would like to talk to you about student engagement and project-based learning. First, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that I see a lot in many classrooms, which is a lack of student engagement. As teachers, we're always having to fight that battle of trying to keep students entertained and interested in what they're learning about, so that way it sticks for a longer period of time. When I was in school, teachers would use strategies much like this, where it would be call and response. Sometimes it would be turn and talk to a neighbor or a partner, or let's have a classroom discussion about what we just learned about. But before all of that, it would start with notes and reading from a textbook. In the typical class growing up, it would be section by section, unit by unit. We would learn about the content through notes typically, and then fill out a worksheet here and there, turn it in for formative feedback. And then after so many sessions of that, we would go and fill in through a study guide to practice the things we've already learned about beforehand. And then we would take a test. And in that summative test, we would prove that we retained that information. However, going through this cycle over and over again, I wouldn't say that was the best strategies in place. And all too often, I actually see these strategies still happening in today's classroom. I believe that we can promote better student engagement through projects that help meet actual problems that are happening in the world. Teachers I've seen do this are engaging students and keeping their interest, but also I see students walking away excited about the project and still talking about it outside of school. I see students still talking about it at the end of the year, where they're still using that content and that knowledge and that drive to still retain all of the information they've learned about. I want to move away from a classroom setting that looks like this into more of a collaborative setting. In order to do this, I believe we need to move on to more of a project based learning curriculum, where in this type of setting, we are diving into different problems that exist in today's world, and we can start personally. Start with a school, start with a problem you're seeing around in your community. Or if you're trying to connect it to content that you're teaching, you can use that on a larger scale. Have students practice inquiry through that. Have them ask questions about it. Let them know it's okay to not understand something or to not know it. I think something that's really, really important here, and it shows here in this infographic, is student choice and voice, showing to them that what they're learning about directly impacts them in today's world now, and what are they going to do and what do they think of that, to have that discussion happening in the classroom. Also, I think critique and revision is a huge part, and I don't think we do this enough in today's curriculum, where they may understand something, they may have learned something, but then when they go and practice those skills or show off that knowledge, and it shows to us that they didn't quite get it, or when they put that knowledge to the test and they're not understanding it, then we can go back and reevaluate and make revisions. And there is the ultimate, in my opinion, the ultimate place where real learning is happening. And I think we need to spend more time with that in a curriculum sense. Now, many of you may have heard of project-based learning. It's not something directly new. However, studies have shown that it really does help students learn in the classroom. It's shown that deeper learning is happening, there's higher level thinking skills that are being applied, and there's intra and interpersonal skills that students are working through with that. MDRC partnered with Lucas Education Research to study project-based learning. They looked at studies from 2000 to 2015, And overall, studies have shown that it promotes positive relationships and student engagement while students are still meeting student learning outcomes. From discussions I've had with my peers at school, I think many teachers are worried that they're going to be missing some standards in place that they need to teach, or most importantly, running out of time. And even though I know those are challenges we still need to tackle within project-based learning, um, if we can still manage and rise to that challenge to work it all in, it's going to be super beneficial. And studies have shown that you can do that. You can still find the time and fit the standards you need to teach within project-based learning. Along with the studies listed, researchers at Elon University, specifically a fourth grade class, practice project-based learning versus a thematic group, so a control group. So we had one group of fourth graders that practiced project-based learning, and then another that was the control group. And the project-based learning group showed better problem-solving strategies, and they also showed just the same amount of knowledge from content versus the control group. So the control group is like your everyday classroom, and where many teachers are concerned that project-based learning is going to miss some of that content, they're not missing anything. They still learn everything they need to, but also gaining that problem-solving skills. Here, I want to talk about specifically a study that happened in Michigan, the University of Michigan and Michigan State worked with a few classes, actually 20 classrooms of second graders. And within those 20 classrooms, we had a control group of students who learned just in a regular classroom, regular strategies we've been working with so long, and a project-based learning group. Within these two groups, 80 different social study lessons were applied. And so you can imagine the long time span of how long these studies were going on. In the end, and I believe this is the most important fact, that 63% of students who worked with project-based learning scored higher. They showed higher achievement in social studies content, and that was through the regular assessments both groups took. Within informational reading, 23% also gained skills, so it still showed higher development in that. So 23% more students increased their informational reading skills in a project-based learning group. At the same time, also informational writing skills were better developed in a project-based learning group. These statistics show just how much students are still learning the content that is being addressed, but also showing that higher levels of achievement are at play here. Critical thinking skills are being brought to the table. Problem-solving skills are they're having to be applied. And most importantly, when those things are happening, students are more interested in what they're learning about. So what I propose is in our curriculum, we need to include more project-based learning activities within what we're learning about within that content. And I know it's not going to happen all the way through the year, but I urge you, I ask you to look for areas where collaboration, critical thinking, communication, creativity can all be applied in an area where your curriculum is happening. Then students are going to gain confidence and better achievement. So all in all, thank you so much, and I look forward to talking with you.